Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining this with me. It's Friday. Happy Friday, June 28th, 2024. We've got a lot to go over today, but first I want to start with this. We've got something very strongly backing up what I've been bringing up recently, and that is Stack History books. Purchase old encyclopedias from thrift shops. Yes, the ones in print. Stack maps, older maps as well. I'll tell you why in a bit. We've got something with Wikipedia in the focus coming out, but it's far beyond that. So let's get into the markets because I want to get this out prior to market open. We've got the MMRI and fear grade meter showing we're still high territory of risk. However, heading back towards the green section. So what happened? We've got green across the board, not just stocks, but also futures. Now that may change. Today is Friday and a lot going on. However, this is very unusual. We've got the basically unemployment coming in higher than normal, and that kind of makes the market think that the cuts are coming sooner, and that is supported. So we'll see that we're getting PCE prior to the market open and also other inflation numbers. So they'll be looking at those very closely because the core inflation, if it begins to slow, they believe that the Fed will be cutting. So with this, they're expecting that it's going to show little to no price increase over the past month. As of right now, we've got volatility index along with safe haven assets and stocks all in green territory. I do think if the dollar increase is going to put some pressure on that as well as the 10-year yield. So we'll keep an eye on those. We're getting the reports prior to this market open, PCE, core PCE, also PMI later, but more importantly, they've got a lot of Fed presidents waiting to speak afterwards. And as you know, they all manage the markets with what they say. So we've got not just Fed presidents coming out, but we've got Larry Summers speaking. And the big title line is, he says, the economy looks healthy and AI should bring a profound change. Well, he just got put on the board of OpenAI along with Microsoft in their pocket. So he says he doesn't see any obvious or apparent risks on the horizon to send the country into a downturn. But here's his quote: I think a person in a fundamental sense is healthy if they don't yet know what they're going to die of. By that standard, this economic expansion, I think, is healthy, unquote. Summers says this, noting that the factors will spell the end of this current cycle have not yet emerged. So if you listen to that, a person's healthy because they don't know what's going to kill them. And he's saying the economy is the same way. Well, actually, we do know it's going to kill us. It's going to be the derivatives in debt market. He knows this as well, but basically he's using it as an excuse. He also says that he believes the United States won't get inflation durably down towards that 2% without a quote unquote meaningful increase in unemployment. So, as we've been speaking about, that's going to be their leverage data point. So, with this, we've got Barkin as Fed president saying U.S. economy is so far withstanding the Fed's battle on inflation. Again, saying that people are just fine. Yellen says she doesn't see inflation at basically what people are paying at the prices. They are watching from a different angle. So those that have are spending and doing very well, but those in the middle class and lower are having a very hard time. We've got pandemic piggy banks running dry, that they're referring to all of the stimulus money that came out. Finally, that's all basically been washed out. So here's what to watch in the first round of France's parliamentary elections. We've got elections going on globally in a massive sense that has not been seen before. So these elections are going to have an effect on all of the economies globally. Everything is now tied in. So we had Japan talking about someone, they just reappointed someone, new currencies are, and this hit their currency. But we've been talking about the yen dangers and also their holding of US bonds. So they sell those, could be a trouble with that. So with this, we've also got a report coming out back to the United States, the consumers. This data is coming out of the New York Fed saying US household debt has reached a record and more Americans are falling behind on the credit card payments. So that doesn't sound like a healthy economy to me. So we've got the IMF now seeing this from the other side because they know what we do affects them as well. So the soaring US debt poses risks to the global economy, and they are saying that the United States must urgently address that debt burden. It has become unsustainable. So, meaning the GDP is not enough to offset that. So, with this, I've got the bad news, good news, just to keep it a little bit balanced. Cryptocurrencies, we've got VanEck has submitted an ETF application for Solana. Even if that isn't approved, they're saying it's a good thing because it's really bringing in the cryptocurrency space. Now, Solana is basically a system that it would all run on competition to Ethereum. If you don't know what it is, that's basically what it is. So we've got mortgage time bomb facing up to 4 million borrowers, these people that purchased the adjustable rate mortgages back when they bought at the beginning of the pandemic, and they now have to refinance. They're going to be forced to. The good news is we've got mortgage rates keep trending down even as the 10-year yield rises. This is something else I had addressed, that real market and lack of purchasing homes is going to drive the rates down. By capital market, no one's getting loans. The banks have to lower in order to entice people to get loans. So they're basically taking a hit on these in order to keep the business flowing in. So regardless whether the Fed cuts or not, banks are beginning to take the hit. Now we've got the highest inventory of new US homes since 2008, threatening the building industry, and this is because nobody's purchasing. So the two together, the mortgage industry and the building construction industry, account for a massive amount of employment. That might be the one to break it. So with this, we've got the banks passing the recent Fed stress test, but this is also backwards looking. They've still got larger losses than they had the year previous. And again, as I said yesterday, we had JP Morgan themselves, not even known for being truthful about things, but saying that the Fed inflated their stress test in order to make them pass. So another bright story that could bring down inflation in reality. We've got Target lowering the bar for workers, their ability to stop thefts to as little as $50, used to be $100. So now they can actually stop the hemorrhaging in the businesses. They start keeping their money to them for the operations. Basically, they can afford to pay people to work for them. So I've got a note on derivatives this year, possibilities of black swans. We've got defaults on leveraged loans. This is Bank of England warning on the challenges they're facing. Basically, all of this debt rising, and at the defaults, the risk is up. We've got commercial mortgage bonds set for first losses since the credit crisis. They're referring to 2008. So we've got companies slashing borrowing costs on $400 billion US junk loans. They call them junk loans because they're high risk. So they normally will offer a high return in order to put your money into them so that they can fund these. Well, they have to cut these rates down basically because the junk loans are now, the risk on these has increased so much. Anyway, they've got to get people back into these. We've got a treasury market liquidity in focus, and they're telling people not to panic, but this, as they're saying, is what could lock up the system in money if it stops flowing, if that treasury market freezes, if no one has enough in the banks to trade. If you go to your bank and they don't have anything they can give you for your cash, could lock up the system, basically, is what it amounts to. Going to our military industrial complex, and what is going on with war. We've got recently what just happened. The United States keeps poking the bear being Russia, so to speak. So Putin threatening the US, saying there will be hell to pay. Basically, they are extending the attacks, the ability. We've got this one right here. Drone crew, basically extending their uh, capabilities for operations. So this allows them to do deep territory operations, basically go further into Russia for these strikes. They're also putting longer range weaponry on the borders of Russia. They are also threatening a lot of the basically the dignitaries. There's a lot of horrible, dirty stuff going on in the background, never making it to the United States news, of course. We've got Boeing moving forward with advanced combat aircraft site in Missouri. So the only part of that that has surprised me, I've been saying Boeing is more of a military company than they are for aircraft. Everyone always thinks they're going down because of the passenger aircraft, and that's not true. Well, it is hurting their business. They just got this major contract, and they're going to be basically going deeper into military combat aircraft production. So, as I was saying, the only part of this that surprises me is that it is in the United States. So they should be outsourcing as well, and they've got multiple um, places globally. They're a global company. So, with this, I want to bring up this seems like an odd story. The Taliban mining boom, but the reason I'm bringing this up, they say in here gold, gemstones, and minerals, but they have the largest source of rare earth minerals, which are going to be needed for all of these batteries and things going forward. So they've just empowered and funded the Taliban, who are now also making basically economic contracts with the Middle Eastern countries and also Russia and China. So I would like to go into a little bit of the deeper things I was speaking about earlier. So getting this symbol up here much more frequently, the video being unavailable, and even some of mine. I want to talk a little bit more about Wikipedia. Now, Julian Assange was just recently freed, as pretty much everybody, unless you've been living under a rock, but he did a plea deal. And so there's some speculation on why this is happening in Wikipedia, many files being redacted or basically just amended, disappearing completely. So the speculation is that it is either tied in with his plea deal, or we've got the Supreme Court. Basically, there's rulings going on whether there can be censorship allowed, particularly during the elections, for what they're calling, quote unquote, information misinformation. So this is a curbing of free speech. People should be allowed to find out whether something is basically information or misinformation, and not have someone else decide this for them. So with this, they have just basically come out in public that they're now able to edit. Now, Wikipedia is considered a resource and reference. So the CIA has been basically editing them for some time now. And if you don't see that they are going to start editing things such as the history that is in there and others, unless you have it in print or you have backups that are offline that they cannot get into a computer and edit as well, as soon as you pull up that page, we'll refresh it with their new data. So downloading it and mirroring the sites is not enough. It's got to be off basically off the internet, and I have a couple like that. Fortunately for us, multiple other people are doing this as well, and it's proven that they've been doing this because it's already coming out, all of the files that they are basically washing. So this right here, I can't speak about this too much, of this video won't make out, but basically the recommendations, and this is new, so this is just coming out, more of these for children, babies, 6 months and older, should get more of this stuff jabbed into them. So this is the type of stuff, if you say anything about it, it's going to be cleared off. So with this, we've also got, as we know, data is the most important resource out there, Time Magazine. With OpenAI AI now signing multi-year content deal. So artificial intelligence is going to be fed this, but only after it's washed. So what direction is this artificial intelligence going to go? That's what we need to watch. Our freedom of speech, our freedoms in general being slowly eroded. And so with this, I appreciate all of you for coming in here and supporting this channel with your comments and for being here, because amazingly, we've got everybody else distracted with this and this story of this girl getting swamped with offers from agents. This blows my mind, honestly, how she can get millions and millions of views from this, and it's just a good sign of which way our society is headed. So with that, I'll let you go. It's gone on a long time, but I wish you a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon. Until then, stay free.